Enterprise. Welcome back to my channel. Here on my channel, we talk about everything related to business, budgets, and babies. So today's topic is bedtime routine. We are going to be covering my top 8 tips for a successful bedtime routine. If you guys did not check out my last video, I suggest you check it out. It was a recording of me going through bedtime routine with my boys. It was completely not pre-scripted. I didn't let them know we were going to be recording to be on their best behavior. It was an actual real-life example of how our bedtime routine generally goes down. These 8 tips that I'm about to cover are my tips for the most successful bedtime routine that you can possibly create for your household. Are you guys ready? Tip number 1, start early. And I'm not talking about time of day. Start creating a bedtime routine with your kids when they are young. I had both of my boys on a bedtime schedule routine before they were 8 weeks old. Trust me, babies are sponges and they will learn anything that you present to them. So it's never too early to present bedtime routine to them. And you guys are going to see me looking over here because my little guy is asleep and I'm just going to be checking on the monitor, Alright, tip number 2, be consistent. The worst thing that you can do when you're creating a bedtime routine is to be inconsistent with your kids. If you are letting them go to bed at 6 on one night and 10 p.m. on another night, it's going to be really hard for their bodies to regulate to such a schedule. So be consistent when you are developing a bedtime routine. That means when they're out of school for vacation, spring break, whatever, you still are consistent. And I understand that you might let them stay up a little late, but be as consistent as possible. When you are on vacation, be as consistent as possible. Alright, tip number 3. Find the perfect bedtime for you and your family. So I've seen people tell me things like, my kids go to sleep late, and I think their kids go to sleep early. I think anything between 7 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. is a reasonable bedtime for kids. So it's really about your schedule, what time you guys eat dinner, what time they have to get up for school. Those things and those variables definitely matter. So create a time that works for you and your family. Just remember, if you put them to bed too early, they're going to get up too early. And if you put them to bed too late, they're probably going to get a little bit cranky and it's going to be difficult to actually put them to bed. So figure out what time works best for not only you, but for them as well. Tip number 4, keep your emotions in check. Okay, guys, so I know that it gets crazy at bedtime. Like, your kids want to not listen. They want to act like they don't know how to wash their face. You're stepping on Legos. You're trying to get them on the bed, and it could be a very hectic time. But let me tell you guys this. Do not lose your cool. Do not start yelling at your kids. Do not start throwing discipline at them during bedtime because it creates a lot of negative energy and it makes it very difficult for the kids to get to sleep and for you to have a successful routine. Okay, so I had paused on recording because I heard this little guy, I seen him move, and he went back to sleep, but he's teething, so I'm trying to be, super accommodating to his needs. But as I was saying, as continuing on number 4, don't start yelling, don't get angry. Trust me, kids love to act crazy at bedtime. I don't understand why your 7-year-old all of a sudden doesn't know how to wash your face, and I don't know why your 4-year-old doesn't know how to put their toys in the bucket. I don't have an answer for you, but I'm going to tell you it's going to happen. Don't lose your cool. Anything you guys need to figure out as far as discipline or whatever, just talk about it the next day. Let those kids go to sleep. Tip number 5. This is a very important tip, and it is one of my favorite tips to share with other moms, and it's one of my tips that I'll share with my sisters and my cousins, and it's been very productive for them getting their kids on really great nighttime routines. In screen time at least an hour before bed. So in order for your natural melatonin to activate, it has to be dark. There has to be a lack of sound. So when your kids are watching TV until they go to bed, some kids can't go to sleep like that. My kid is one of those kids, and my little guy, he doesn't even really watch TV, so he doesn't understand that concept. But when you are exposing them to screens, that means tablets, computers, TVs, phones, whatever, when they are looking at those screens right before bed, their brain hasn't had enough time for them to actually start activating their natural melatonin for them to know, hey, it's time for bed. So if you end screen time 5 minutes before bedtime, their brain is going to take another 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes for it to even begin to inform the rest of his body that, hey, it's time for bed. So end screen time at least an hour before bed if you want them to get that natural melatonin working. I also want to just quick sidebar on melatonin. If you are an individual who is giving your child melatonin, I just want you to do independent research. I know people that it works for and it works great for them. I know other people who give their child melatonin and they're not realizing that's an issue. Their child is having night terrors. Their child is having difficulty waking up, things like that. So make sure you do independent research, not what this person said works for that child. Like, do independent research on how melatonin works and what that means and how much you should be giving your child, particularly in oral doses. It's really easy to give them too much, which is a cause of night terrors sometimes. So might want to do some research on that, and based on my independent research, it is a little bit better for their bodies if you give it to them externally, so through lotions or what do you call it? The stuff that make bubbles? Bubble bath? Yeah. So, melatonin with bubble bath, melatonin that is in bubble baths is a little bit better than them taking it orally. So, as I said, do your own independent research when it comes to giving your child melatonin, but don't just assume that it's a good thing and just pop it in their mouth without looking into it. All right. Tip number 6. Try to feed your kids at least an hour to 2 hours before bed. So you want their food to already be digesting so that they're not going to be able to tummy ache, so that they're not having trouble sleeping because that food just beginning to digest. It's just a little bit better for them to not have food that last hour before bed. And that's actually a good rule for us as adults as well. It's not a good thing to lay right down on food. So make sure that you are getting home on time, starting dinner on time, taking off your meat if you're eating meat, doing whatever it is that you need to do so that you guys are eating early enough for them to still stay on the bedtime routine. And if you are having trouble figuring out ways to cook quickly and things like that, check out my book, Saving Money and Time in the Kitchen. I give you guys great tips on grocery shopping, saving time by teaching you how to shop faster, how to take advantage of restaurant specials when you guys are eating out, and most importantly, how to save time when you are cooking at home so that you aren't slaving hours and hours over that stove every day. All right. So, as part of not feeding them that last hour, I would say please try to avoid sugars that last 2 to 3 hours because they're going to be hyper. Like, duh. Don't get them a cookie and then wonder why they run around the house. They run around the house if you gave them a cookie. Okay. Tip number 7, this one is extremely important. Do not do everything for them. So bedtime routine is one of those places, one of those areas of life where you can really start growing independence out of your child. So if you tell them to wash their face, let them wash their face. If they don't do a good job, you can assist them, you can direct them, but do not take over that task or assignment. Same thing goes when they are cleaning their rooms, taking showers, whatever it is. Like, provide instruction and direction based on the age of that child, of course, and try to really let them have a sense of independence. They're going to start figuring out, hey, this is what I do first. First I brush my teeth, and then I make my bed, and then I clean my toys up off the floor. And they start getting a sense of pride of being responsible. Like, my son comes to me like, hey, I'm ready for bed. You know, he's already cleaned his room. He's already brushed his teeth. He has his story ready. So this is a great area to grow self-independence for your little people. So definitely self-independence. Independence is already that. Y'all know what I was talking about. That was redundant. All right, and my very last tip number 8. Make sure that you create some bonding time before bed. So many of us, we're at work all day. The kids are at school all day. We're running around to cook and clean once we see those little people. And we don't really spend a lot of one-on-one interaction time with our kids. I know I fail at that sometimes, and I know many of us fail at that. And it's not that we don't love them or that we're not trying to make it a priority, but it's hard, and we're juggling a lot of balls in the air. So I think right before bed is a great time to have a moment of bonding, whether that's reading. You can have your older kids read to the smaller kids. You can read to your babies. They can create a story with you. You guys can do a puzzle together. You guys can just have some open dialogue, draw together, whatever it is that you guys enjoy doing. I know sometimes we do dance parties. Have some bonding time. It's a great way to end your day. You know, everybody ends up getting into bed with smiles on their faces. So, yeah. I hope these tips are useful to you guys. I would love for you to drop a comment and let me know the best tip for you, or let me know if there's any tips you think I should add to this list for a successful bedtime routine. If you guys have not checked out my last video, I will make sure to link it in the description box. I will see you guys next time, and happy bedtime. I know it's hard, but you got this. Peace.